you might hear my washing machine in the background, but I just looked over and I noticed. So let me see if the LED. Yeah, the LED is lit. Uh, One time I did a video. I was sitting there one day, or I went for a walk, and someone said, "You pop out so many videos." Yes, because I got into a position with something. I had to solve a problem, and I found a real quick solution. Now, the place I worked, they were supposed to be writing up every time I solved a major problem. They're supposed to write it up and give me an award. I won't go into it, but it never happened because the boss was too lazy to write up the what I did. So anyway, I found out later on he gave an award to one of his buddies that I won't go into that, but he didn't really fix anything. He got a circuit board in, and he noticed one of the legs of a chip was up, and he started troubleshooting it. And then finally he gave up, and I went and looked up the chip and found out that in a certain unit you have pins, and they tell you just cut. If you're using a 12 volt, you want the 12 volt regulator to be used in the chip, you cut pin 4. If you want to use it 5, cut the other pin. And that's what he saw. And he right away, he thought someone had been working on it. He changed that chip. As soon as he put that chip down, all the pins down, and soldered it, the board got red hot. And then he spent all day troubleshooting it. I stepped in, and I read the manual and the information on the chip, and found out that if you're operating on 12 volts, you cut this one pin, and then there's an internal regulator. But if you put all the pins down on the board, the poor IC chip burns out. But anyway, so he got an award. He got a wooden plaque and everything. I actually did the work, but the boss wrote it up, and the two of them were like looking at me like we just fucked you over. But anyway, both those guys got theirs in life. What the last video I was doing, I like to pick on the people that do comments. They do them just to show how smart they are, and they don't realize what they're doing. And I call them out on it. But I one day I'm walking and I come up with an idea, and I realized inside a computer fan on the old computers, I don't know about the new ones, does a Hall sensor, and it detects magnetic fields. Here it is here. I'm in pretty. I can get in pretty close now with the zoom, so make sure I'm pointing to it. My fingernails are kind of long. They're not super long yet, but they're getting there. There's 4 wires on it. It has a part number on it. This came out of a computer fan. You can read up on these. Now, there's an LED lit. Now, when I go past it with the magnet, it switches. See this? Look at that. Is that cool? So in other words, you could actually put a magnet in a swinging pendulum, and under the board put coils. And then when the pendulum is one side, it then activates the coil on the opposite side, so the pendulum would come back. All right, I got it now. In other words, you have to have a north and a south going past this. So in other words, you can make like an oscillating motor with the Hall sensors. There's other things you can do. Use the Hall sensor. Then once you get this circuit working, all right, there are Hall sensors that almost like metal detectors. As you put the magnet near them, they conduct more, and you can do kind of different things with that. But the whole idea was to say to you, you throw out these computers, and in the fan is a Hall sensor, and you probably never saw one. I see one. Everybody's seen one. Those guys. But anyway, for those people that never saw a Hall sensor, and they want to do a scientific or some experiments, you take an old computer fan apart. Now, the first thing you do is on the back of the fan blade, there's a round label. Peel that back, and then you'll see a rubber plunger. Pull the rubber plunger out. And then there's a Jesus clip down in there, a C clip, or a plastic push-on snap. Undo that, and then the fan blade just comes off. And then in the fan blade, you can see there's a magnet, and it looks like a refrigerator magnet, and it's got a split in it. It goes around on the inside, but there's a definite split or a cut from beginning to end. That gives you your north and the south, which is what this sensor needs. So as the fan blade turns, it turns the sensor on and off, which then this also has a driving circuit and also powers the coils. Read up on it. But anyway, so I'm getting back to I show this. This is the actual unit I built, and I'm on there, and a guy says, that's not what's inside of a PC fan. I work at a company that makes PC fans. I design them. And I'm like, uh-oh. And this guy's going on. Finally, he realizes he was confused. He didn't know what the hell he was talking about. But he left these nasty comments, and I went right after him. I'm like, you know what? And then finally he goes, you know, you're right. And I knew I was right. I took a PC fan apart to get the Hall sensor. It isn't like I just bought a Hall sensor from Jameco and then said, yeah, you can get them out of a PC fan. No, I took this out of a PC fan. And I know you need, you can also do it this way, I'm pretty sure. Let's say this is north. This might switch it. All right. Now, when I give it the opposite end, it should switch. Yeah. North, south, north, south. Okay? But this one here is like a bipolar or something. It has to see both the north and the south. There are ones that are linear, where you put the magnet closer, it conducts more. All right? You can use it for magnetometer, I guess, if you want to build one of those. But the whole idea is I'm out walking, and I realized that I had taken a PC fan apart. I used to repair them, re-oil them, put them back together, get another 100,000 hours out of them. And I realized there's a Hall sensor in there. I'm like, you know, most people never saw a Hall, H-A-L-L, Hall sensor. Different than is a Hall effect when the train goes by? No, that's Doppler. Anyway, there's so much in my head, but I wanted to show you this because this is sort of a cool thing you can make. And it's only got a few wires. I think I'm at 9 volts maybe. You're going to need some resistors. It's a great starting point. And then, of course, I used solderless breadboard. All right. And I wired it up real quick. And I thought it would be a good video. That's not what they were. I was like, holy crap. But yeah, people don't realize what they're doing. You know, watch the full video and listen to what I'm saying. And then if you want to comment, make a comment. And then Shango did the same thing. Every once in a while, he just goes off. He just says, you know, they don't watch the full video. They start commenting right away and telling them what the problem really is. Meanwhile, if you go far enough on the video, he's already found the problem and fixed it. But they're out there, and I like to pick on them. And they're like, "Oh, gee, I really not." You didn't expect someone to yell at you, did you? You didn't expect anyone to call you a fathead. But I will, because I gave up a lot of being a normal person to work lots of overtime to solve problems. So I have regrets. I am a big vessel of regrets because I always, the company would close down for 3 weeks, but guess who didn't get to go home? And then, everybody comes back and I'm like, can I take my 3 weeks now? Oh, no, you have to take it in separate days. And then when you try to put in for those days, oh, we can't spare you. I said, how am I ever going to use those days up? Guess what they do? At the end of the year, they pay you for the day. So you didn't get a vacation. You didn't get a vacation. That's why I'm messed up. I don't know how to go sit somewhere and relax. I can be really tired and sit down, but I'm not really relaxed. I'm worn out. And I didn't realize that until I started noticing I couldn't oversleep. And I've been asking other people that I see walking, I said to them, can you stay and sleep in? And of course, they're out there walking every day to reduce stress. And they look at me like, what a question is that? I said, no, well, when you get up in the morning, do you get up at the same time? And she says, well, I used to. No, you used to. But can you stay in bed an extra 20 minutes now? The person goes, no, I have to get up. I go, why? And it's a habit. It's anal retentive. You become an anal retentive person, and you worry all the time about everything. You're working in a chess, and other people are doing checkers, and they only see what what could go wrong in the surface. They don't realize the damage they can do. And eBay is loaded with those radios. It's loaded with stuff that people, I was trying something. You don't know what you're doing. I was trying something. And they make it worse. And I told you, a doctor's Creo, do no harm to the patient. You want to cure the patient. You don't want to make them worse. And there are people that make stuff worse, and it doesn't bother them. They just stick it on eBay, and then I get it. And in that case of that radio, I recapped it, put it away. One night I'm getting it out, and I'm like, the tuning cap's bad. Of course, it doesn't. I don't think it comes apart. But I just wanted to show you this. I just spotted this thing down in the closet, and I'm like, you know what? I had mentioned this thing. People, they tell you how stuff works after you've already done it, and the whole idea is I'm out walking, and I said, you know what? There's a Hall sensor inside a PC fan, and if you don't know that, and never, there's people that might know that never worked with one, and it's not that easy to make a demo. Now, this demo, after I got the idea of walking, I got the wireless breadboard out. I printed out the Hall sensor. I found the number on it. There is a number on it, and it's bipolar. So if you kept doing this, right? Oh, it went. Now it's not working. It must have burned out. Oh, look at this. This side and this side. Look at that. See, I didn't know that. I was doing that and that. But if you go across the top of it, oh, cool. Okay? See, these are the things you learn. And now what did I do? I just passed it on to you. And you now know there's a Hall sensor in a PC fan. There's also a magnet in there. When you take the magnet out, it looks like that real thin stuff that they make refrigerator magnets out. You get a menu from a restaurant, and it's got that thin piece of magnet glued to the back of it. That's what it looks like, the magnet. And of course, a blade looks like a blade. And you peel the label off the fan, and you'll see underneath a little plunger. You pull that out of the way. That keeps the oil from seeping out, all right? Because there's going to be oil in there. And then there's going to be a C-clip, some kind of Jesus clip. And they call it Jesus because when you lose it, you say, oh, Jesus. So anyway, that's why it's called the Jesus clip. And then you also have the more modern split plastic ones that are like from a VCR. You pull that off. Now all of a sudden the fan blade will drop out of the assembly. And then you can see inside there's a little circuit board in there. It's got the Hall sensor glued to it. And then there's probably some resistors. That's probably where I got all the values. So don't worry about that. But that's what I wanted to tell you. The guy, oh, I work at a company. I designed the fans. That's not what's inside of them. And then, little by little, he wore out, and then he's realizing it come down to he worked at a company that assembled fans, and the girls put them together, and he sort of watched from a distance. See, that's the bullshit artist. He's actually been in a room with someone that knows what they're doing. And then through osmosis, he knew everything there was to know. And I do the video, I put myself out there. I do the video, I'm showing you the sensor. And there are switches with these in there. And there's a magnet. When you push down on the switch operates. Now, there's no bounce. I don't know if you know that all mechanical switches bounce. And if you try to take a switch and run it with a pull-up resistor into an IC chip, when you throw the switch on and off, you get more than one count. You're trying to get one count at a time. And you've got to fix it with software or a Schmidt trigger. There's a couple different circuits that you can use to take a multiple bounce to one bounce at a time. There's also, you can use a flip-flop. Go read up on debouncing. See, I've been there, done that, okay? And it started with the Radio Shack. Guy built a Numatron, or a number display with IC chips. And he come in and he's showing the manager when he pushes the button, the digits, the single digit. It was a science kit, and as he's pushing the button, the digits not always advancing one, sometimes two, and he wanted to measure it, and I said, you got bounce in the switch. And I said, it's probably in the, and it was in the information in the kit. They explained how the switch bounces, but it was a simple way to make, understand a binary counter chip, which probably is 7490, and then, oh man, what was it, 4066? No, 40. There's a binary BCD to decimal decoder IC down in the bottom there. There's two chips on the board, science fair. They had you operate it with some D batteries. You were running, it's a 5-volt circuit, but you're running it at 4.5. I sort of remember the whole thing, but the guy's looking up at me, what do you mean bounce? And then I explain to him, all switches bounce. Mechanical switches, when it closes, those contacts hit, they repel, they hit, they might bounce 3 times. You know, to you, when you throw it and you look at the switch, it clicks, but it bounces. And each bounce with a high-speed chip, it counts it. So then you have to put a debouncing circuit on it. But the Hall sensor doesn't bounce. Also, a mercury-wetted switch does not bounce. These are the things I know. When I worked making mercury switches, the boss just said to me, he goes, you know, one of the things with a mercury switch is it doesn't bounce. I said, you know what bouncing? No, that's what they told me. So then I explained to them in electronics how mechanical switches bounce, but when the electrodes of the mercury switch are wetted and the mercury hits those 2 posts, it goes on without bouncing. There's the knowledge I have. I have all this knowledge, and a lot of it's obsolete, but I learned it. I sometimes used it. I sometimes explained it to somebody that was repeating it, what the hell they were actually saying. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, a mechanical switch, it bounces. It just does. And you know the electrical switch on your wall? Every time you turn it on and off, it throws molecules of copper back to the back of the switch. And over 40 years, it'll coat the back of the switch with copper, and one day it'll be conductive, and the switch will go on fire. All right? And how I know this is people started, in all the houses around me, they started getting wall fires. And then one guy caught it. And he turned the breaker off, took the switch out, he brought it into work, and he put it in front of me. And I said, this is what I've been looking for. Most of the time when I was involved in this, these people were afraid to go back and sleep in the house at night. And they asked me, can a switch go by? I said, yes, it can, but I can't prove it. I can't tell you why. But right after that, this guy brought the switch in. We took it apart, and the back part of the switch has a cover on the back. I put my own meter on it. It's Bakelite in the old days. And the Bakelite becomes coated with copper. Every time the switch goes on and off, it shoots out. I won't say sparks, but very tiny pieces of copper, which I think they're hot, and they embed them. They plate the inside of the Bakelite with copper, and at some point it gets so coated that the positive and minus of the 2 contacts of the switch actually start conducting through it. It starts to smolder, and it carbonizes, and it becomes more and more conductive, and then the switch does a runaway as far as conductivity, even though it's off. And if you put the switch on, the light will act real funny, and it might stop the fire because now the electrons are flowing through the switch to the light bulb rather than through the Bakelite that's been impregnated with the copper. Been there, done that. You know, I was the guy everybody called. That's why, you know, I'd be eating my dinner, and a lot of my dinners were cold because people would call me on the phone, or they'd ring the back doorbell. And I'd come home, and my mother said, you want me to reheat your dinner? That was my life. And now, if someone rings my front doorbell and I have hot food in front of me, I look down to see who it is. I eat my dinner, and I do rush it a little bit. And then I walk up to the house and I ask them what did I want. And because what they want is they want something that they don't want to do it. So now somebody asked me, am I still the way I was? All right, here's what I do now. If I see someone that helps other people in the neighborhood, I help him. Now, there's a guy that cuts people's lawns. just to help them out. And he's having financial problems. Nobody's picking his garbage up anymore. He can't afford to pay to have the garbage. So I wheel my garbage can, because I'm only one person. I wheel my totes over to his house, and then him and his wife take their garbage out and put it in mine, and I wheel it back. And he was supposed to have the garbage guy come this week, but he don't have the money. So I'm helping him because I watch him mow people's lawns just because they're elderly. And two of those people, I told them they're using you. And one of them, well, anyway, I'll go into that. I started telling him what I know. I said, look, I'm going to tell you what nobody else told me. You want to help somebody that needs help, not someone that doesn't want to do it. I think that's it. All right. I think I've really said what I wanted to say now. That's it.